Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wild Rift patch 6.2 video. Today we're going to be talking about the map updates and champion changes that will be coming to Wild Rift in a few weeks time. Now with this being the Chinese PBE, some of these changes are still subject to change, and also it does mean that some of these might not be coming on day one on July 17th. They might be a little bit delayed, but it's still good to get ahead of ourselves, still good to theory craft with some of these changes. We have the Marksman changes in here, we have the reworks, we have the map changes with the new spawn times for things like Dragons, Rift Heralds, and Baron Nashor. So let me know what you think down in the comments about these changes once you get to see all of them. And of course, if you're enjoying the theory craft and if you're enjoying the pre-release content for Wild Rift, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I'll be showing you new builds, new item builds for all the new items that will be coming in patch 6.2. So let's head straight into this. This is going to be kind of similar to like a patch notes rundown, I guess, because I just have the notes here from the Chinese website. Of course, they talk about all three new champions, but we're not going to be talking about that one. New collection, season 18. We don't really need to talk about any of that. Right. Summoner's Rift. Grass mechanic adjustments. The position of some bushes have been adjusted to make the field of vision on the battlefield clearer and easier for players to control vision. Some bushes have been removed to reduce the danger of some places on the battlefield. Now, you might have seen this a little bit briefly, but basically what this has done, it's very similar to PC League now, where the bushes are not going to be on the side of the river. They're going to be in the middle of the river, in the top lane and also in the bot lane. There might also be some changes in the mid lane as well. We're not really too sure what bush changes are happening in the mid lane, but in terms of the top lane and the bot lane, it's more to do with the bushes now. Instead of being on the side, it's going to be in the middle, so it's going to be a lot easier to ward, but also a lot easier to track junglers, because now they can't just jump over the wall into a bush and then you'd be surprised all of a sudden. So I really like these bush changes. I think it's definitely going to change like jungle pathing and, you know, the way you gank, but also the way you ward in the lanes as well. This is the Easter egg thing that they spoke about. We saw a little bit of this in the patch preview. When placing a ward in a bush, there's a chance to receive some gold. Occasionally, some small fish will gather in a river, and when a hero is passed by, they would be scared away in all directions. And when you explode a fruit, you get a firework display. I think this is just a little interaction thing. Luckily, this is not as bad as like the Easter eggs of like the loot kits that we got in the Hex Tech update. Luckily, it's not that bad, but I think it's just some interaction to happen on the map. I don't think this is going to make too much of a big difference. Right, the pig, this is only going to be, it says cannon peak mode only, but this is only going to be a legendary queue. But when the battlefield time reaches 3 minutes and 30 seconds, that is very early. That's like old Krugs back in PC League, the old little grubbies, whatever they're called. Fantasy Pig will refresh in the Baron Pit and Dragon Pit respectively. Both Dragon and Baron Pit. Wow, interesting. After defeating the Fantasy Pig, you will get a certain amount of gold experience and a mini pig that will automatically follow the defeater. When the hero approaches, an enemy tower can be attacked. The mini pig will automatically hit the enemy tower, causing real damage. I'm assuming that means true damage. Very interesting. Of course, this is only going to happen in legendary queues, so if you don't play legendary queue, this is not going to affect you too much. I do play legendary queue sometimes. Like I said, this 3 minutes 30 second timer is going to be before the Dragon, the Rift Herald, and things like that as well. So it does mean that it's more of like the grubbies from PC League, where it's an objective to fight over before the Dragon and the Rift Herald spawn. Be interested to see how quickly you can kill this, how much damage actually does to the tower. But overall, I think it's just something to fight over whilst you're waiting for the Dragon and the Rift Heralds to spawn. Just more interaction happening in the river. Towards my gaming experience, we have comprehensively adjusted the battlefield rhythm to make the games feel smoother, reduce the difficulty of collaboration between the online and jungle players in early stages. Oh, that is huge. Reduce the situation where players face dynamic team disagreements, reduce the game pressure caused by a single mistake, and increase the contribution to space to the advantages. We have made some adjustments to defense. Oh, okay, we know about this. What are they doing with this though? Reduce the difficulty between the online and jungle players in the early stages. Wonder what this means. Does this mean experience? Does it mean that junglers now get less experience? I have to wait and find out. Right, towers, mechanics, outer tower platings disappear. So it's gone from 7.5 minutes to now 6 minutes. So now the platings will be at 6 minutes. But I thought the dragon was 5 minutes. So do we still have a little bit of time for Rift Herald to take tower platings and also dragon as well? Because if my mind doesn't mistake me, I'm pretty sure the dragon and the Rift Herald spawn at 5 minutes. So maybe you still have a little bit of time for Rift Herald to maybe take some tower platings. Not too sure. Plating increases the tower's dual resistance. So now the resistances of the towers are also going down as well. So this is depending on how many plates they have. So they're actually getting minus armor and magic resistance at the first tower plating. And then it goes down by 10, 20, 40. But the fifth plating is still 240 armor and magic resist. This means that you're going to be able to get tower platings much quicker now, which I quite like. This means that you can get huge advantages in laning phase. If you get an early kill, if you get an early advantage and the enemy champion needs to go back to base, you can walk up, take some tower platings. And I don't think the gold has changed as well. Yeah, the gold hasn't changed. So you're still getting a lot of gold for taking these tower platings. So really, really like this change. Inner tower dual resistance, so the resistances are going down of the inner tower. Rewards for destroying the inner tower has gone up by 100 gold. Destroying the inner tower, defense tower, team reward. Some of this is really hard to read because it's not even English, it's translated, so please bear with me. 75 gold per person to now 100 gold per person. Just in general, you're getting more gold for destroying the inner tower. Attack interval of the middle lane outer tower defense tower on the soldiers. I'm assuming that's minions. 1.2 seconds up to 1.35 seconds. So it just takes the tower longer to attack minions now. So it means that you can have more time attacking the tower and getting tower platings, which is quite nice. All right, new mechanic. Destroying the first inner tower in the battlefield will reward you with extra 100 gold, and each member of the team will also receive an extra 25 gold. Is this on top of this, or is this just this? Isn't this just this? I'm a bit confused. I'm pretty sure this is just the same as this, but I'm not too sure. If the first outer defense tower in the battlefield destroyed before 9 minutes, the inner tower is now going to gain a shield value of 1,500. So it's a bit like the Nexus shield, and the shield will last for 30 seconds. Okay, interesting. So this is kind of stopping you from like the Rift Herald from taking the first tower and also charging the second tower and trying to get the inner tower in basically 2 charges of the Rift Herald, or 2 instances of the Rift Herald, which is very interesting. So this is going to change a little bit with how you push. Basically, now you can only take the outer tower. And then once you take the outer tower, you can't really take anything else, because a 1,500 shield is going to be way too difficult to break through. Even if the Rift Herald is, you know, exploded, come out, and you're still trying to push with that extra instrument that pops out as well. So it means the inner tower is going to be a little bit more difficult to destroy if the outer tower is destroyed at 9 minutes. Also, this means that the game is just going to last longer maybe as well, but this only lasts for 30 seconds. So maybe even by the time that you walk from the outer tower to the inner tower, the 30 seconds is already basically cut in half. If the first inner tower of the battlefield destroyed before 11 minutes and 30 seconds, the Highland Tower, which is the inhibitor tower, I'm pretty sure, in the lane will also gain a shield, which is also 1,600, and the shield will last for 30 seconds. Wow, they are really stopping like multiple tower pushes in one push as well. This also means that you want to try and rotate a lot more often. Like I said, you want to take one tower. If you take like one outer tower, it's going to be very hard to take that inner tower. So instead of pushing for that inner tower, you want to rotate to other lanes instead. Rotate to the mid lane, rotate to top lane or bot lane, and take the outer towers instead of trying to take the inner towers. And the same with inhibitor towers. I don't see this often enough. I see a lot of people just group mid lane or all group in one lane, and they'll take the inner tower and then they'll try and take the inhibitor tower instead of taking the inner tower and then looking to rotate and take other inner towers. Especially now that inner towers grant 150 more gold and also 75, you know, more gold, more team gold per person. It's a lot more important now to actually rotate and take other inner towers instead of just going inner tower straight into the inhibitor tower. So rotating is going to be a lot more important now in Wild Rift in terms of tower taking. So that is very important on top of this. Minions, mid lane adjustment. So this is just for the mid lane. Okay. Cannon base health is going down. The health growth is also going down. Mid lane cannon base armor is going up, and the base MR is going up. Wow, this is really trying to, this is actually kind of a esports nerf, and actually kind of a competitive Wild Rift adjustment, because you don't really see AD champions too much in the mid lane in like solo queue and ranked, but in competitive, AD champions in the mid lane are very, very popular. And just, or you can even flip that, and you can say the playing duo lane in the mid lane is much more impactful and much more viable in competitive, because in competitive you have things like the duo lane, like say for example, I don't know, Zeri and Nautilus starting in the mid lane, and then both the top lane and the bot lane are both going to be the solo laners. So this is more of an adjustment to that, rather than an adjustment really to ranked, because like I said, ranked, that doesn't really happen because it's very hard to communicate with random teammates, but also you don't really see AD champions too much in the mid lane. But in general, this is a nerf to AD champions in the mid lane because you can't clear the wave as quicker. Yes, the base health has gone down, but the 20 armor is a lot more than that base health that you see there. Again, more of a competitive nerf and a competitive change, trying to stop the duo lane from starting in mid lane and trying to get them to move to the bot lane instead. Top lane adjustments. Before 6 minutes, the damage caused by minions to minions is going down. So it just means in general, the minion to minion encounter is going to be, you know, a lot less, and it's going to take a lot longer now for minions to push by themselves. Before 7 minutes, the single player shared top lane experience has gone down. So I'm assuming this means that shared gold with like a jungler, for example, single player shared top lane experience. Or I think this is experience if your jungler comes to your lane and helps you push. I'm assuming that's what this means. So you actually get more shared experience now than before. So if a jungler comes and pushes your top lane wave, then you're still going to get more shared experience. That's what I understand from this. Battle time 6 minutes. So after 6 minutes, the melee minion health growth goes up, range minion health growth goes up. Same with the siege artillery and the super minions. So before 6 minutes, it's now going to be easier to push, but after 6 minutes, the health growth of some minions are going to go up. This actually slows down split pushing a little bit. I don't think it's going to affect too much of split pushing, but before 6 minutes, the minion to minion damage goes down. But after 6 minutes, the health of every single minion is going up. That is interesting. Again, I think it's trying to maybe stop split pushing, or try and at least slow down split pushing. Of course, actually, I didn't even think about it as well, but this change to the towers as well is also going to affect split pushing, because you now can't take the inner tower and then take the high ground tower, or the whatever they call it, the inhibitor tower, sorry, straight after that. So this is going to affect split pushing, and this is also going to affect split pushing. I wonder if this is something to do with Hullbreaker, because Hullbreaker coming back into Wild Rift, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the new item video, Hullbreaker is coming back into the game. This is probably going to affect Hullbreaker and split pushing quite a bit, and the same with this as well. So this is going to try and stop like the Intenstein strategy or the split push strategy that's going to be coming back into Wild Rift with Hullbreaker. I kind of like it though. I don't mind these changes. I think stopping split pushing in general is going to be quite nice. I'm kind of worried that this is going to kill split pushing completely. I don't think it will. I still think people will do that, but it's not going to be as effective as what it was before. Crystal Shield, remove the mechanic, remove the original mechanic where the crystal will gain a crystal shield when the high ground tower is destroyed. Big change. Really like this change. But there is a new mechanic. At the start of the game, the Nexus Shield will gain an 100% maximum shield. So now it gains it at the start of the game. Starting from the 12th minute of the battlefield time, the shield will continue to decay until the 16th minute, when the shield will disappear completely. That's actually pretty nice. I quite like this. So at the moment, when you destroy the first inhibitor tower, before I think it's 16 minutes, or before it might even be up to 18 minutes. I can't remember the time exactly. But basically before 16 or 17 minutes, the Nexus will basically gain this 100% shield. Now it gains the 100% shield at the start of the game. So basically games ending before 10 minutes is never going to be seen unless there's a surrender vote or something. But starting from the 12th minute, the shield will start to decay until the 16th minute. So it actually doesn't matter now. So if you destroy a inhibitor after 14 minutes, the Nexus shield is actually going to be lower than it was before, because before it was gaining the 100% maximum health shield. Now it's actually going to be less. It's actually only going to be 50%, because between 12 and 16 minutes the shield is going to decay. So in between that is 14 minutes, so you're only going to be having to deal with a 50% maximum health shield. This actually means that the games might end a little bit quicker now if you're trying to take the Nexus a little bit quicker. But again, you have to take into consideration that pushing in general and pushing one lane is going to be a little bit slower because of the tower changes. Really like this though. I really hated the mechanic, the crystal mechanic in general. I like that they're changing it and they're trying to make it a little bit more impactful and make it a little bit more to do with like timing your pushes, rather than you take the first inhibitor, you can't end the game. So you have to wait until you basically take the second inhibitor, or you have to wait until the Nexus shield goes down. Fantasy band, I'm assuming this is the Rift Herald. Oh, the Rift Herald is going up to 6 minutes. Oh, and the Dragon's going up. Oh, that makes a lot more sense now. Okay, so wow, I thought they were trying to reduce the time of laning phase, but this actually means that laning phase is going to last longer now. So Rift Herald and Dragon are now going to spawn at 6 minutes instead of 5 minutes. And this makes a lot more sense now, because the the tower platings are going to drop at 6 minutes instead of 7.5 minutes. So everything is going to be happening at the same time. Dragon spawn, Rift Herald spawn, and the tower platings are going to drop at 6 minutes. So that whole thing that I was theory crafting before with Rift Herald is not going to be a thing. You can't take tower platings anymore with Rift Herald. However, this does mean, because the tower plates have gone down, it's actually going to be a lot easier to take the first tower of the game. So I still think Rift Herald is going to be impactful. I still think it's going to be very important to take, to try and open up the map more and try and take the first tower of the game and get that little bit of extra gold. 60% of the totals of the tower's maximum health, down to 50%. So you're going to deal a little bit less damage. Effect after the summoned fantasy band hits the defensive tower, splits into 3 instruments, and now it's only 1 instrument now. So instead of splitting into 3 instruments, it's now going to split into 1 instrument, making it easier for defenders to deal damage. At the same time, we have made adjustments to maintain the strength of the fantasy band. So instead of the HP being and the damage being split amongst 3 instruments, all of that is now going down to 1 instrument. I don't know how to think about that. I think it's going to be okay. I think that as long as this 1 instrument is getting buffed, and it's not going to be the same as like the 3 individual instruments, that 1 random instrument is actually going to be pretty powerful, and it might help you try and take the inhibitor tower. Of course, you have to be careful of the tower shields now. But in general, I mean, the Rift Herald dealing less damage is fine. You're still going to do more damage overall because there's no tower platings. There's also a new mechanic to make up for the fact that, there you go, the Rift Herald cannot take tower platings. The summoner will now receive 250 gold rewards after the fantasy band hits the defensive tower. Wow. Okay, so this is still going to be less gold than taking tower platings, because if I remember correctly, tower platings is 150 per tower plating, and of course that's shared, so you'd get 75 gold per tower plating if you're sharing it with your mid laner or top laner. And most of the time Rift Herald took like 3 tower platings, sometimes even 4. So if it was 3 tower platings, then this is kind of a buff to gold. But if you were to take 4 tower platings, which was the kind of standard that you would get with a Rift Herald, you're actually going to be getting less gold. But again, you're probably getting more gold because you might be able to destroy the first tower of the game, which again is going to give you more gold. Actually, I think overall this is actually more gold that you're going to be able to get with Rift Herald. If you destroy the first tower of the game, you're probably going to be getting more gold, because so only the summoner will receive this gold as well. So this is a lot of extra gold for junglers as well. Wow. This actually means that you need to make sure that you don't steal the Rift Herald away as well from the jungler. 250 extra gold. That is crazy. Also, you need to make sure that it hits the defensive tower as well, because if it doesn't, then you're not receiving receiving the extra gold. I think Rift Herald is still going to be better than Dragons. I don't think Dragons are going to do too much. I think it's going to be even more important now to make sure that you can make sure you take the first tower of the game, you slam the Rift Herald, and you get a crazy amount of gold. Also, another thing as well, of course, with Dragons now not spawning until 6 minutes, this is actually going to give laners a little bit more time to build more items. So say, for example, because I'm an ADC main, Kai'Sa, for example, can maybe now go for a little bit more expensive items and might be able to get a first ability upgraded before that first dragon. This also means that just any champion in general can now get boots and maybe also complete their first item before that first dragon and first Rift Herald spawns. This is going to change the tempo of laning phase and the tempo of the game quite a lot. Laning phase is actually going to last longer, which is actually completely the opposite of what they were saying in the patch preview, but that's still quite nice. I want laning phase to last longer, which I think this is great. Platings are going to be easier to take down, so you're going to actually get more of an advantage for winning laning phase and more gold as well. I actually really like the direction that they're taking with the tempo of the game and what they're actually doing with this. Really, really like it. Baron changes. The respawn time, not respawn time, but the first time that Baron Ashe is going to spawn is going to be 11 minutes instead of 12 minutes. It's actually going to be 1 minute earlier now. The Baron buff strengthens the minions and reduces the damage. So the minions of Baron are actually going down. So instead of 50 to 60%, it's now going to be 40 to 50%. So when you take Baron at 11 minutes, it's actually going to be weaker than before. And even if you take the second or third Baron, it's also going to be weaker than before. In terms of the minions, it looks like the stats of champions are still staying the same. Defeat the first Baron Ashe to get the Baron's hand buff duration. Oh, the duration of the first Baron is also going down as well. The duration of Baron's hand obtained by defeating subsequent, so the second or third Baron Ashe, remains unchanged at still 120 seconds. Okay, so Baron Ashe is going down to 11 minutes spawn time. The minions are getting buffed a little bit less. And also the Baron Ashe doesn't last as long. So I still think it's definitely worth taking Baron at 11 minutes if you're very far ahead in the game. And if you're playing a champion that could do a lot of damage to Baron Ashe, say like a Mumu, for example, that could do a lot of damage to Baron. And if your team's grouped and you want to do Baron, it's still worth to go. But you're not getting as much value from it. 11 minutes. But also I think this is fine as well, because one less minute of Baron Ashe spawning actually makes quite a big difference with how much gold you can get in that 1 minute. So minions going to be less, and also the Baron Ashe is only going to last 60 seconds. So you actually need to make sure that if you take when you take the first Baron of the game, you actually make full impact of that Baron, and you don't just take Baron and you sit back and you farm. You need to make sure that you make a big difference with this 90 seconds timer. Elder Drake is now not going to spawn until 19 minutes in the game. This really is a late game objective now, because honestly, with reading through all of this, I don't know if games are even going to last above 19 minutes now, because I think the game in general is going to be a lot quicker. Like Baron spawning earlier, you know, the Drakes are going to spawn a little bit later, which I think is fine, but it's going to mean that grouping is going to be more important. You're going to be getting a lot more gold from Rift Herald and from tower plating, so you're just getting a lot more gold in general in the game, and more gold means that games are probably going to last quicker. But anyway, 19 minutes now for Elder Drake, and now you're going to be dealing a lot more true damage. So this is just the ultimate late game objective now. No more trading Elder Drake for Baron. Baron is going to be definitely weaker than Elder Drake. Now look at that, 450 true damage over 3 seconds instead of 345. This is a crazy change. Wow, I'm really excited for this. We've needed a tempo change. We've needed an update to Wild Rift map and how the game works for a long time. This is like one of the biggest updates I think I've seen for quite some time, is in terms of like the map changes and what they're doing to every single objective. Unfortunately, no updates to Dragon, so Dragon is still only going to be giving you a 2% or 3% buff, so Dragons are still basically going to be useless, and also no buffs to Dragon Souls as well. So again, Rift Herald is still, actually Rift Herald is going to be even more important now than what it was in the previous patch, or what it is now in the live patch, I should say. Summoner skills, we know this from yesterday. The teleport enchant is now going to be a summoner spell. If you did miss my breakdown of all the items, the boots enchants, and all the changes that's happening with that side of the rift in patch 6.2, I'm going to leave the link down in the description. You can check it out after this video. It talks about all the item changes and everything else as well. Okay, this is the important part. Hero adjustments. Swain's Rework. Okay, let's have a look at this. Skill adjustments. Passive. These soul fragments restore a certain amount of your HP. The HP percentage is okay. It has a flat value now, and it scales with your ability power. Okay. So this is trying to stop more tanky Swain builds and try and focus more onto building ability power. I mean, for me with Swain, I still go for more like AP damage, like Rod of Ages, Malignance, and Death Cap. But I'm guessing this is trying to stop like tank Swain. I haven't seen tank Swain honestly in a long time, but now you get a lot less base value, and now it's more based on your ability power. The more ability power you have, the more healing you're going to get from your passive. So that's quite important, trying to make it more Swain more of a burst damage champion rather than a tank. Second ability adjustment, the detonation timer has gone from 1 second to 1.35 seconds, so it gives enemy champions a little bit more time to dash and avoid the second ability. Ultimate, this is a big change. This is what we saw in the patch preview. Adjustment, the number of times you can recast your ultimate is now not one time, it's now unlimited time. So every single time that you're keeping your ultimate rolling and rolling, you can keep using that splash damage that you get normally one time, but now you get it unlimited times. It does have a 6-second cooldown, but this is a huge buff to Swain's ultimate. It's going to mean you're going to do a crazy amount of burst damage now with this part of the ultimate. The continuous damage is going down. This is no surprise. Of course, with now the recast of the ultimate now being unlimited times, the continuous damage, so the damage over time, is getting a slight bit of a nerf. That's completely fine. We're definitely going more into burst Swain territory now instead of this damage over time tanky version of Swain. So nice changes happening to Swain. This is really, really nice. Varus adjustments. Varus currently has more synergy with some equipment than expected. Essence Reaver, but that Essence Reaver is being changed. The passive attack speed gain often overflows, limiting its equipment, and the high mix burst also makes it difficult for opponents to defend. Therefore, we hope that we can regain some of the traditional marksman positioning, maintain balance while being able to choose multiple styles and provide diverse experience. We've updated the ability icons. Cool. Right, passive adjustment. So before, defeating an enemy, which was basically a minion or anything, would increase your attack speed for a few seconds, and participating in defeating a champion will give you 60% increased attack speed. Whereas defeating a non-hero will give you 30%. So now when defeating a non-hero unit, you gain 10, 15, and 20% attack speed for 5, 7, 9, 11 seconds. Okay, so the duration has gone up, but the attack speed has gone down by quite a lot. And also gain attack speed, attack damage, and ability power equivalent to, okay, it's not 1,000% of additional attack speed, but I'm assuming this will be 100% of your additional attack speed. Gain attack damage and spell power equivalent to additional attack speed. So I'm assuming the extra attack speed that you get, so the 10%, 15%, and 20% attack speed, that additional attack speed that you get, you're also going to be gaining attack damage and ability power. Wow, that's really interesting. So less attack speed and more to do with your attack damage and your ability power. When defeating an enemy champion, you gain 50% of the upper limit of attack speed, and you also gain ability power and spell damage equivalent to 2. Wait, this number might be right. 1,000% of your additional attack speed and 2,500% of your additional attack speed. Maybe these numbers are right, but that looks like crazy numbers. So the base attack speed that you get has gone down, because before you used to get like 60% bonus attack speed, 30% bonus attack speeds. But now you only get 10, 15, and 20% attack speed. But now you gain AD and AP equivalent to this bonus attack speed. So now it's more focused on dealing damage rather than getting attack speed, which might actually mean that you can go more on hit Varus And on-hit Varus now gives you more attack damage and ability power, but you don't gain the extra attack speed. The reason why like items like Riftmaker and Essence Reaver and just items that basically don't give you any attack speed is so popular because you gain so much passive attack speed for when you killed a minion or when you killed a champion. But now you gain less attack speed but more attack damage ability power. It might be flipped where you build more on hit and you gain more passive attack damage and ability power. Kind of nice. Piercing arrow, new, increase the damage of arrows and a detonation wither by 0 to 50%, increasing with charge time. Okay, so so this is now more focused with making sure that you charge Varus's Q fully and you don't just tap Varus's Q. At the moment, when you stack your Blighted Quiver, your second ability, with Varus, you can just tap Varus's Q and you do a shit ton of burst damage. You do a crazy amount of burst damage. But now it increases the damage of the arrows from 0 to 50%, and it increases with charge time. So you want to charge Varus's first ability now, and it does more damage the more you charge it. And the base damage, wow, the base damage has gone, wait, the base damage has gone up? The base damage has gone up, but the attack damage ratio has gone down. I mean, the attack damage ratio has gone down quite a bit, but the base damage has gone up. Wow, your Q is going to do crazy damage now, no? Especially during laning phase as well, because you have the increased, or is this just with the detonation of wither? I'm not too sure. The translation makes this a little bit weird, but it says increases the damage of arrows and the detonation of wither. So I guess it means the arrows, which is your first ability, and the detonation that you get from wither, which is your second ability. But then the base damage is going up by a lot. Like, look at this base damage. It's going from 20 up to 60. Of course, the attack damage is not that high, but this base damage now is ludicrous. Like, this is some crazy attack damage going up. Of course, the bonus attack damage ratio is going down, but I think this is completely fine. This might be a buff to, like, to lethality Varus. And honestly, this is a buff to lethality Varus as well, where you go for man immune into, like, Edge of Night. Duskblade being changed could also be an option. Ghostblade, Serpent's Fang, because you want to charge your first ability more when you're playing lethality Varus, and you're more sticking back and you're more using your abilities as poke rather than kind of on hit. The base damage going up as well is just absolutely crazy. This is a very interesting change. Second ability, as I said, the second ability is called Wither. New, when detonating the Wither effect on a champion or epic monster, the remaining cooldown of your basic skills is reduced by 13%, up to 39% of the remaining cooldowns per target. What the hell? What? Wait, isn't this already in the... Isn't this already in the game? Am I crazy in thinking that this is already in the game? I seem to remember if you detonate your Q on your second ability, then the cooldown goes down already. So I'm a little bit confused with what this is. A little bit confused. I mean, maybe this is even more than what the live client is at the moment. Wow, this is a lot of cooldown. A lot of cooldown. And again, this is a bit of a buff to lethality Varus. Because if you use your ulti and if you detonate your blight... Also, no, this is a big buff to on hit. Because on hit, you want to auto attack a few times and then use your Q to detonate it. But then you kind of want to charge your Q now to deal more damage. Oh my god, this is all over. This is all over the place. I'm going to have to test this when this comes out, because this is like a buff to on hit, a buff to lethality, a nerf to lethality, and nerf to on hit. I'm confused at this point. This is crazy changes. They're changing so much with Varus as well. Damage of detonating wither to monsters has been capped to 120 and 360 for 3 layers. Okay, maybe they're a little bit worried about Varus jungle, which I can totally understand, because you detonating your first ability second ability is now going to reduce the cooldown of your remaining abilities. So Varus jungle could have been viable, but maybe it's not going to be as viable now because of this adjustment. Damage caused by normal attacks. Oh, okay, so nerfing the normal on hit damage of the second ability in the early game, but actually buffing it a little bit in the late game, and also it scales more with your ability power. AP Varus, maybe? Could be a thing. AP Varus with Nash's Tooth. Riftmaker. Could be a thing. Detonation mark damage percentage. So before it was 5.5, 6.5 plus 0.1% of your ability power of the target's maximum health. So the base value has gone down, and also the ability power ratio has gone down. So instead of being 0.01, it's now 0. No, wait, it's gone up. No, sorry, it's 0.015. Okay. So you detonating your passive is now going to be less damage, but then you're probably going to deal more damage with your Q, and also normal attacks go up. Wait, so if you go on hit and you max your second ability, the AP ratio has gone up on your second ability, and your on hit damage is going up as well. So this is a buff to on hit. Is this a buff to on hit? It might be a buff to on hit, to be honest with you, because the AP ratio is going up. The AP ratio is going up. I mean, it's going up by like 0.005, so it's not even that much, but the base value goes down. This is crazy. Active. The next piercing arrow deals additional magic damage. Yeah, we know this already. Damaged equal to 8% to 16% of the target's missing health. This is what was so OP at the moment. When you activate your second ability, your first ability does a shit ton of missing health damage, which was absolutely disgusting. Now, the next caster of your first ability deals additional magic damage, which has gone down. Love this change. So from 8 to 16%, it's now down to 6 to 9%, which is great, of the target's lost health, and increases to 0 to 50% based on charge time. So your first ability is now going to do more damage if you don't detonate your second ability, and it's going to do less damage if you detonate your second ability, which is very, very important. So again, for me, this is a buff to lethality, Varus, because you're going to do more damage in general with your first ability, with the base damage going up, the attack damage ratio going slightly down, but that's fine. But now you get more damage based on your charge time, and now you do less damage if you detonate your second ability with, and also you activate your second ability before you use your first ability. So this is a really, really big change. And they also removed the bonus damage of passive attack is doubled. Oh, wow. So they actually removed the on-hit version of the second ability, because when you activate your second ability, your bonus damage that you got from your passive attack was normally doubled. So this passive attack was normally doubled. So that's why this has been buffed. So you get more damage from just normal auto attacks now, but you now don't activate your second ability to get double the damage from this. So before you would get double the damage, but now you get more normal damage. Okay, wow. Varus is changing a lot. Like, Varus is changing a lot. We're going to have to test a lot of new builds now on Varus. Of course, with Essence Reaver changing as well, Essence Reaver is just not going to be an item for Varus. I think the builds in the next patch are either going to be Lethality Varus with the changes to Dustblade, or you go on hit Varus with like Terminus Crit Varus, maybe? Not too sure. We'll have to wait and find out. Zeri has been struggling lately, so we're reshaping her skill set to help her regain some momentum. Zeri's power has realistically been tied to a specific sort of support partners, causing balance to be built around them. We want her to maintain similar power with most support partners, so we're removing the mechanic of linking her with shields and move the passive effect to original first ability of the passive. To give her ultimate more sparkle, she can now continuously refresh its duration by attacking enemies, huge, and utilizing the chain lightning effect splash damage. Wow, big buff. In addition, we've also adjusted the critical hit benefits, currently low, and damage structures to Zeri. Okay, let's read this. Passive, remove 15% move speed bonus when gaining a shield. Wow. The effect of absorbing 60% of the damage shield and converting it to your own shield, that has also... So basically, they're removing the whole shield mechanic from Zeri completely. So now when you gain a shield from your own supports, like Janna, Lulu, Yuumi, for example, you don't gain extra movement speeds. Interesting. But now this means that Zeri works better with tank supports. Well, not better, but now it works the same with enchanter supports and tank supports at the same time. Formerly, okay, so the first ability passive is now just becoming Zeri's new passive, basically. Yeah. So this was actually a part of the first ability passive, but now they just moved that into the normal passive. So they're basically just removing the shield power completely from Zeri's kit. New first ability, defeating the target will refund 100% of the mana and 50% of the cooldown. Whoa. The slow effect decays during the duration. Wow, this is kind of like Annie's Q now. So when you use your first ability on a minion, you refund 100% of its mana and you reduce 50% of its cooldown. The big thing with this as well is that you can actually use this to try and poke enemy champions, because the first ability is like an AoE effect. You can use this to last hit minions, refund 100% of your mana and 50% of the cooldown, but also use this to poke enemy champions during the laning phase as well. This is a really big buff to the first ability. And then they removed the passive effect because that's been used to move to the passive. That's fine. The second ability is now physical damage. Whoa. This is crazy buffs. Oh, this is a huge change. Well, AP Zeri is now dead, unfortunately. But wow, this is a huge buff to AD Zeri and crit Zeri in general. Third ability, new. Deal additional damage based on your attack damage, scaling with your attack damage and your ability power, magic damage on the first target hit. This damage will be increased based on your critical strike chance up to 100%. My God. Is it just the first? Damage to the first target hit. There's no... So this just lasts for the entire time of your third ability. There was additional damage. Sorry, there was additional magic damage to the first target hit. So I think this is going to be when you use your third ability, the first target that you hit is going to deal additional damage. Again, a huge buff to Zeri. When you're dashing forward with your third ability, the first enemy that you hit, boom, it's going to do a shit ton of burst damage. That's a really big buff. Adjustments. Deal blah 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 percentage to the targets behind the first target. Oh, and now you deal more damage in the early game to targets behind the first enemy hit. This is actually going to help Zeri's wave clear a lot, because at the moment with the wave clear, you do a lot of damage to the first minion you hit, and the minions behind that don't really take a lot of damage. But now they're going to deal. You're gonna do a little bit more damage now to minions, which is great. And also this is just gonna affect damage that you can deal to champions as well. Nice, I really like this. When hits an enemy hero with a normal attack, the cooldown will be reduced by 1 second. Each time a normal attack or skill now hits an enemy hero, the cooldown skill will be reduced by 0.5%. When a critically hit is triggered, the cooldown will be reduced by 1 point. This is a fucking huge buff. Oh my, I think Zeri's going to be completely broken. They've removed the whole shield mechanic from the passive, which was kind of the core of what Zeri was in the meta. But now, oh my God, the first ability is now absolutely crazy because you can refund mana. The second ability is now physical damage. The third ability, you do more burst damage. And now you can use the third ability more often, because each time you attack a champion or hit a skill on an enemy hero, and when you critically strike now, you're going to be refunding the third ability by 1.5 seconds. And also you're going to be refunded by 0.5 seconds when you hit an enemy with a skill. Oh my God, this is fucking bonkers. This is crazy. Ultimate, there's more, by the way. Oh my God, we haven't talked about the ultimate change that they have. New Casanova electric energy, which is the AoE thing. When it hits an enemy hero, it gains... You gain 10% movement speed for 5 seconds and 30% attack speed bonus. Wait, what's the movement speed that you got before from the passive? The passive before was 15% attack speed bonus. Okay, so you're getting still a little bit less from when you got a shield, but now you gain movement speed and attack speed bonus when you use your ultimate. So you have to make sure now that your ultimate hits an enemy champion. But as long as your ultimate hits at least one enemy champion, you're gaining movement speed and 30% attack speed now. Holy shit. Hitting an enemy hero with a normal attack or a skill will refresh the duration and gain 1 layer of overload effect for 1.5 seconds. If a critical hit occurs, 3 layers of overload effect will be gained instead. And each layer of overload will gain you 0.5% movement speeds. Wow. So you're getting 1.5% movement speed every single time that you hit a crit with your ultimate. Is there a limit to this? There's no limit to this. So you can actually gain more movement speed now with your ultimate than what you ever did with your passive. And like I said, now this actually means that Zeri can work with tank supports and doesn't just have to be enchanter supports every time as well. This is crazy. This is absolutely nuts. I can't believe what I'm reading here, to be honest with you. Normal attacks during this adjustment, normal attacks during this period become 3 quick bursts, gain attack speed and dealing damage. Yep. Bonus attack damage and okay. Normal attacks during this period become 3 quick bursts, and chaining 25% of your attack damage as physical damage to nearby enemy champions. So now the bonus magic damage is gone. Oh, now you don't get attack speed from your attacks. Okay, so you don't get attack speed from your attacks, but you gain damage from your attacks. So, so you're losing attack speed. You're losing 25% attack speed from this, but you're gaining attack speed now from when you just hit the enemy champion, which is great. I think that's really nice. So overall, you're actually gaining attack speed because this was 30% attack speed. This is 25% attack speed. You're not dealing bonus magic damage anymore. Wait, does it not chain anymore? Oh, and chain. Oh, it does chain still. Sorry, yeah. 25% of your attack power as physical damage to nearby enemies. Well, okay, so you're actually losing the magic damage. You're losing this magic damage completely now from your ultimate. But the attack damage has gone up. Because it's and 20% of your attack damage is physical damage to nearby enemies. So your ultimate scales more now with your attack damage, but now you don't deal bonus magic damage with the ultimate. I think that's fine. Removed. Cast a Nova of Electric Field, gaining 8 stacks of overload for each nitro hit. During the period, participating in the defeat, extend the overload for 4 seconds. But then how long does overload start? Like, how long does overload duration happen now? Does it just happen for the duration of your ultimate? I'm assuming overload just happens for the duration of your ultimate now. So now this is more or less, it's less, so this ultimate is now less based on how many enemies you hit with your ultimate and is more to do with your auto attacks, because before you actually wanted to hit enemies with, you want to hit 2 or 3 enemies with your ultimates, but now you actually want to just hit one enemy champion is fine with your ultimate, because you don't get any benefit now from hitting multiple enemy champions with your ultimate. But now you want to make sure you keep auto attacking, you keep critically striking to gain more overload stacks. Participating in a defeat will extend the duration of overload by 4 seconds. So the overload duration doesn't extend now by 4 seconds. But it's now just the whole duration, basically, of your ultimate. Interesting. I'm going to have to test this out in game, because this is too much. This is way too much. Zeri and oh, actually, there's even more. Like, look at all these Zeri changes. Zeri's going to be a completely new champion next patch. And even Varus as well is also going to be a completely new champion. I love these changes. Hey, I'm an ADC main. I love these changes. Ashe patch's mechanic has clarity issues. Early damage was hard to predict, even with the 100% critical chance. The bonus damage wouldn't be triggered if the enemy wasn't slowed. To make her ability clearer, the team refactorated, basically, her passive, or basically deleted her passive. In addition, the timing of Ashe's first ability is always difficult to grasp. This is not that difficult at all. We don't want players to be too much pressure to choose the timing of your first ability. We reshape the trigger mechanic of the first ability. Oh my god, they're making Ashe easier to play. I didn't think them words would come out of my mouth. They are making Ashe easier to play with her first ability. How is that even possible? Normal attacks, you deal 10% plus 100% of your critical strike damage, extra damage to targets affected by Frost Shot, which is your passive. So now normal attacks deal the same amount extra damage to the targets, and if this damage is affected by critical, so basically enemies don't have to be affected by Frost Shot now for you to deal bonus damage. So now your first auto attack is actually going to deal more damage. And it doesn't matter if the enemy is affected by Frost Shot, your passive. So normally you only got this bonus damage with your second, third, fourth auto attack. Basically, if they're affected by Frost Shot when you auto attack beforehand. But now it's just extra damage to the targets. And if this target is affected by critical damage coefficient. So basically your auto attacks now are just going to deal more damage. That's basically it. It's just a buff to Ashe. You don't have to proc your passive. And now you're just going to deal more damage. And it's now going to be affected by critical damage. Nice. Very cool. Buff to Ashe. First ability, new. Normal attacks add 1 layer of focus, which lasts for 4 seconds. You can cast this skill after 4 layers. Okay, so it's gone down from 6 layers down to 4 layers. So now you can actually use your first ability more often. Adjustment cooldown. So the cooldown's gone from 7654 to no cooldown. The focus will not accumulate layers while the ability is at no cooldown. Adjustment active for the next 6 seconds. Normal attacks consume focus and gain attack speed. You gain attack speed for 6 seconds, so it doesn't even consume the focus anymore. What? So basically, Ashe is getting slow from her passive, which doesn't get consumed anymore on her first ability. She's getting more damage from her passive from just auto-attacking normally. And now her first ability doesn't even have a cooldown and only stacks 4 times. So you just auto-attack 4 times, use your first ability. When that duration has ended, auto-attack 4 times, use your first ability. Oh my God. What is going on with these AD carries? This is bonkers. This is absolutely crazy buff. What the Jinx adjustment? So, I'm sorry that this is lasting so long, by the way. I'm reading this basically for the first time as well, so it's a lot to consume, especially with the Chinese translations as well. Jinx passive. When guilty pleasure is triggered, 10% of the lost mana is restored. That's a really nice buff for Jinx. I really, really like that, Jinx. It means that you can use your fish bones more often, your rockets more often. Really like this. Misfortune adjustment passive. When 3 layers are stacked, the target will suffer bonus physical damage. This is new. Wow, this is on top of the already damage that you have on your first ability, maybe. Or maybe this is just a new part of the first ability now. Because I know the passive at the moment, when you deal 3 instances of damage, you deal bonus damage. So I'm not too sure if that's replacing that or if that's going to be on top of Misfortune's passive. Not too sure. Vayne. Second ability, adjustment, active. The next 3 normal attacks and in the next 5 seconds will increase your attack speed and restore your health. Now you gain, oh my God, you gain a lot less attack speeds, but now you gain 10% all-round lifesteal, lasting for 3 seconds. Oh, okay. So you get a lot less burst attack speed now from your second ability, which means that your damage against like tanks in general and your burst damage in the early game is going down. But now your lifesteal has gone up by a lot. It doesn't just happen on the first 3 auto attacks. And also, you don't need to auto attack a champion 3 times to proc this damage. To proc the healing, sorry. Because at the moment, the only way that you can proc the healing is by proccing the 3rd part of Silver Bolts. But now it's just gain attack speed, which is a lot less. But now you gain 10% all-round lifesteal, which lasts for 3 seconds. I actually kind of like this change. I think this is kind of a nice buff to Vayne in general. It means that maybe you don't even need to build physical vamp now. You could just go for Runa's Hurricane. Actually, not Runa's Hurricane. That's a terrible item. You go like, I don't know, Magnetic Blast, the first item. That could be pretty good now, to be honest with you. Now that you have inbuilt lifesteal with your second ability, of course you have the cooldown, so I think like maybe BT is going to be important still. Actually, BT also gives you attack speed now. So you can go something like Bloodthirster into Magnetic Blaster and more deal. Oh. Wow, crit Vayne might be pretty popular next patch. Equipment changes, we know about all of this. Like I mentioned, I'm not going through all of this because I did this in a previous video. If you want to check that out, you can do. Gameplay changes, I think this is to, yeah, a different game mode. We don't care about all of that. New equipment in a new game mode, but that doesn't affect us. This doesn't affect us. System changes. Does this affect us at all? Colorful skin rewards, function descriptions. Oh, it's talking about the Grandmaster being split into 3 tiers. New SVP system. Winning in kind of hero modes can accumulate starlight points, which can be exchanged for star cores after reaching the requirements. Was this the whole thing where if you play ranked, you can now gain legendary stars now? When you win one ranked game, you can consume 1 star core to get 1 additional diamond. Up to 8 diamonds per season. Huh? Using a win exchange mechanism is fairer, more reasonable, reduces the sum of the competitive burden. Okay, so we're just letting people climb. Okay, well, I don't even want to read anymore, honestly. Now they're just making it so you can... Ugh, this is so dumb. They're basically making it now so you can get more marks for free and exchange them when you get a ranked win. Okay. Top of the cannon, the physical medal will be permanently displayed in your Hall of Honor, and the achievement will never fade. That's pretty cool. So if you get, I guess if you get Sovereign or Legend, it will be permanently displayed. That's pretty cool. In-game feedback, resource manager center. Okay, collector item. Okay, system changes. In the ranked match in Canyon of Heroes, the original 5 position pre-selects will be adjusted to first position, second, third. Okay. Okay. Credit system upgrades. Oh, this is a reputation system. Automatic displayed and higher rank for the season. Personal data and player cards have 2 interfaces. Seasonal reset adjustments. From gold rank to diamond 2 rank, there is a slight improvement overall to new season's ranked adjustment. So if you're from gold to diamond 2, your season will be changed. I'm higher than diamond 2, so it doesn't affect me. Hero point adjustments. Doesn't really affect me too much. Entertainment gameplay experience optimization, season history, new loading borders, new description, new point. I think there's nothing else. I don't think there's anything else. Hero lines added. Wow, that's everything. Okay, big changes happening to champions, and especially AD carries. I think Zeri might be one of the strongest AD carries next patch. These changes that are happening to Zeri are absolutely disgusting. I mean, all these AD carries are getting buffed in my opinion. Varus overall, I think, is going to be a buff because Essence Rework wasn't going to work on him anymore, so they had to adjust him. Ashe is getting a huge buff. Jinx buff is nice. Misfortune buff. And also Vayne adjustment / buff in my opinion, because you get more healing now, but you get a lot less attack speed. Wow, that was a lot to go through, chat. Holy shit, I just lost it. I just fucking sat here for an hour talking shit about Wild Rift. That's a little bit crazy. I probably should have lost it. I should put... I can't talk anymore. That video lasted way too long. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. It lasted an hour long. I don't know why it lasted an hour long, but yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll leave timestamps in the description. I don't know why I'm saying that now. I might as well say it at the start of the video. Yeah, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.